Hello, hello. For everybody out there, we are here to do Amy Johnson Crow's reveal tonight. It's going to be a lot of fun. So that's Amy next to me. And then her captain, of course, y'all know, Emma Macbeth, has done an amazing job this week. Just really been incredible. And before we get started, though, I wanted to share some personal joy because Amy's going to get all kinds of joy this live cast. But I have my third grandchild of the year. So this is grandchild number 11 for me. Was born today, and he was 10 pounds, 6 ounces. 21 and a half inches long. So yes, they had to take him C-section because he was going to be
Oh,
too big. And mama and baby are doing well. And he is so chubby
yay.
and cute. He's adorable. He's adorable. Okay, and for anybody that doesn't know me already, so they think I'm just being silly, I'm going to tell you a little bit about what WikiTree is before we get into it and what our challenge is. WikiTree is a community of genealogists who work together on a single family tree. In other words, we collaborate to grow an accurate global tree that connects us all, and remarkably, it's free. The WikiTree Challenge is our year-long event and part of our Year of Accuracy, where each week we take a guest and a team of members works on their branches to make it as complete and accurate as possible. Our goal is to improve our accuracy, add more family connections, and make more friends. And that we have certainly done. And now here, I'm going to turn things over to Emma so she can go ahead and tell you what the discoveries were.
Oh boy. Yay. I'm so excited. I have to admit, when we first started this week, I think we rubbed our hands in glee. We were like, we've got this covered. These brick walls are pretty close in relationship. We've got some DNA to work with. We're going to knock these down. And then we got pretty humbled as seeing that some of your brick walls were definitely made of double reinforced concrete. And although we've made some huge progress, there were some that we were just so frustrated because we felt like it just should have been so easy. Mm-hmm. And I think some of us are going to go back again and again and again to those brick walls and keep trying for you because we're just determined to get them broken down. Let's see. Mindy, can you talk about this one? Because you worked on this one, I think.
Yes, and this was one of the later ones. And, once again, some of those walls were just so stubborn. And thank goodness we were so relieved to find that you had some Pennsylvania Quakers in those family branches. All right. I keep looking. I haven't found any in mine yet. I'm so jealous. But those Quaker records are amazing. The parents were proven for Mary Newland, and you see her there on the left part of that tree. And all of those in orange, those are all your new ancestors. And let me tell you, we added almost 40 new direct ancestors, plus all of their kids. And, the records are so incredible. I know that when you get a chance to go look on those lines, you're going to be able to build them out even further. A week goes way too fast. So you've got a lot of new Quakers. And, and I just like to say there was one of them. One of the other things, besides having the extensive who their kids are, I mean, this guy, one of the guys we were looking at, he died, and all of his kids, all their birthdays, what his wife's maiden name was, who his parents were, who else has that kind of records? But I was reading another one that was part of one of your outer ancestors, and they even put in personal notes about her. And it's so hard to find those things that put you personally in touch with, who the person was. But they were talking about like when she got sick at the end, and, her husband said, "I can't do this without you." And she said, "Yes, you can, because, an angel's loving arms are going to be wrapped around you and those children, and you're all going to be able to get through this." And so they were giving other examples like that, and you just wanted to cry. You were just like, "Oh my God, this is the most wonderful lady."
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. And so those kind of things were just little treasures too that we got to find in those lines. That was a fun set of branches.
Well, I had seen before some possibilities for that Nathaniel Newland, but that whole Metcalf line, that's new. That's new. I haven't seen any of those Metcalfs before. Yay. Oh, yeah, Quakers are awesome.
They are. They are. I have to admit, I love their records.
Yeah.
So this is the Johnson line. Now you're seeing that Tingley name again, and I'll point out to you what we think about that in a minute. But the
Okay.
most exciting thing is with John Johnson, we brought together a combination of both DNA clues as well as several different document clues. So we kind of pulled them all together. You had quite a few DNA matches to the daughter of Jonas Johnson, Elizabeth Johnson Nunn, N-U-N-N. And the way that the pattern was looking, and she was part of the John Johnson DNA group, it just felt very strongly that, yes, this was John's sister. And based on the documents. So we felt pretty strong that Jonas and Sarah Johnson was John's parents.
Are you kidding me?
We were able to connect it. However, we kept taking her off, putting her on, taking her off, putting her on.
Yep.
We could not make up our mind. We saw your blog about her and the DNA matches you have. That they're not conclusive. They're just little hints of possibility. And we feel like right now she's a hint of possibility. So we've marked her uncertain and kept her there just because it's possible she is his wife, maybe not the first wife, because we felt like the first child, the record said he was born in Canada, so that's confusing us. Is that a mistake? So this is still uncertain, but we've tried to leave as many notes and documents as possible on that. But we were very excited about John's parents and pulling all that together.
That is crazy. I can't wait to dig into what you found there. I suspected that there would be a way to sort through the DNA on that, but it's just one of those, do I ever have time to look at it? No, I don't. But Emma, I'm really glad you said what you said about Eunice possibly being a second wife. I'm fairly certain that Eunice is a second wife because not only did the census show that oldest son was born in Canada, and you think, well, just one census, maybe that's off. No, he must have been because he was naturalized with his father in Morgan County, Ohio. So he was definitely born in Canada.
Yeah. So we felt like maybe there was another wife before, but we could not find those records. There's quite a few records for John, but that's something we were not able to hunt down yet. But who knows? Someone may come along and find that piece to the puzzle.
And one of the great things about having it on WikiTree is, we have that big blank slate to write on. So we can do the biographies, you've got your sources, but we also have research notes. So all those wonderful little breadcrumbs that they have found this week and left for you will be there for when you look through the branches on the different people.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is the Kingery line, Mary Clark, and you already knew that her father was Anthony, the mother was Catherine, but you didn't have a last name. And we're looking at the Dar and Sar records for this line, and they named Catherine as Catherine Pretzinger. And you know how Dar and Sar at certain points in time were not terribly reliable. However, we found an application of Catherine's granddaughter who was a member of Dar, and therefore we went, okay, if it's a granddaughter, we're thinking she's fairly confident her grandmother's last name is Pretzinger. So that was one of our strongest clues to keep her name. I think the spelling originally on here was Pensinger, but the original documents were all spelled Pretzinger, so we changed it to reflect those earlier documents.
Okay, cool. Very cool. Yeah, that's a name I had not seen before.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, wow.
And let's see. Okay, I don't know this one. Mindy, do you?
This was one of the ones that our Scotland expert worked on for you. She does Ireland and Scotland for us, Amy. She's wonderful. And there are other people that work on these records, but if there's a particularly tough brick wall somewhere, that's who we go to. If anybody can take it down, she can. So, of course, this was John Young, your fourth great-grandfather, and he was found to be the son of Andrew Young and Elizabeth Borthwick. He was baptized on the 4th of March, 1764 in Cockpen, Midlothian, Scotland. So it makes it a little easier for you to find the records. He's not in this massive area where there's a ton of,
Right.
Andrew and John Young. So hopefully you'll
Yeah.
find more. John and his wife did have at least 6 children, died in Ohio in the United States, but she was pretty excited. And then she even got that snippet out of the parish register for you so that you could see
Wow.
his actual back. Yeah.
Wow. Wow. Oh, that is so cool. Oh my gosh. That is my Scottish line is actually the line that I've always kind of identified with. I mean, this is going to sound really, I don't know, crazier. When I was little, and we talked about this last week, how my paternal grandmother was like the unofficial family historian. You know, she told me the stories, and you know, some of them were even true. But when I was little, my favorite doll was a Scottish doll. And she had, you know, she had the little kilt and she had the plaid and all this. And when I was little, I thought that Scotland was like the neatest place in the universe. Have I ever been to Scotland? No. But then when I found I had Scottish ancestors, it's like, oh my gosh. So to find something new on my Scottish line, I am thrilled. Oh my gosh. Okay. This is like Christmas.
You're allowed to be excited. This is a lot of fun.
We're excited. Every time we got a new clue, a new piece of information, we all cheered. This is on the McKittrick line, which goes up to the Morrisons. You had John Morrison, I believe, is Margaret's father, but you had Margaret unknown. And the researcher who worked on this realized there were 2 different Margarets who were married to John, and that was a confusing mess.
Yeah.
So she spent a long time digging into the documents, sorting them out, and then finally realizing which one was the first wife, which was the second wife, who was the mother of Margaret, and that was Margaret Thomas. So
yay!
That sorted out, which was very, very exciting.
Yeah, because there's nothing like having 2 wives named Margaret and then having a daughter named Margaret, you know.
Why do men do this to us? Marry the same wife with the same first name.
Yeah, jeez.
Now, this is just a hint that I've left on the profile for Mary how do you pronounce it? Deffenbaugh?
Deffenbaugh.
Deffenbaugh's profile. Her father is believed to be Peter Deffenbaugh, and I was digging into the DNA on this, trying to see if I could get some clues. And the DNA is pointing towards Johann Michael Deffenbaugh's family. And so he had a son named Johann Peter, born 1759. And I have a suspicion this is the Peter that is Mary's father. I can't prove it. Right. It's just a suspicion. It feels right. It kind of feels right with the DNA. So I put that clue on her father's profile, and hopefully eventually somebody will have some more clues. But I feel like this is the right family. And somewhere in here is going to be the answer, and someone will eventually come along and have an aha moment for you. Yeah. Bring it together.
Very cool.
And this is on the Ramsey line. I have to go back and forth between my lines here to know where I'm at.
Yeah. I've suspected that it was Elizabeth Longwell. I had seen the Elizabeth Longwell and James Longwell in there, and it was just one of those, okay, I really need to prove it. So this is cool.
And that's one of the very exciting things that I watched happen this week is people didn't just go to your tree and then transfer it to WikiTree. They stopped every step and they said, okay, can we prove this relationship? Let's find the records. And they dug and they dug and they dug. And if we couldn't prove it, we didn't add it. So this was another area where we were able to add a couple more generations.
Very cool.
For Elizabeth Longwell. And you can see that DNA flag right there for John Kelly. I did do your DNA confirmations as much as I could up to the second great grandparent generation. So that's one of the lines that we were able to confirm.
Yay.
And this line was interesting. The oldest couple that we have on here right now, the Coissiers, the man was born about 1635 in France, and they migrated to London before they came here. And I mean, early on, so 1695, they came to Carolina and were one of the first, people settling in that area. So that was interesting, I thought.
Okay, you're getting ahead of yourself there, because those are some new names and new places for me.
You're going to have a lot.
Oh,
Nobody sleeps
and
once we do this. Like, you
yeah,
want to stay up all night and look through it all. So,
yeah, poor John McClellan. Yeah, poor John
Oh,
McClellan. Yeah, poor sad John McClellan.
let me see. Let me go back. There was a little bit of a mystery that we cleaned up on this line, and the mistake wasn't in your tree. It was in other people's trees. They had another Elizabeth that was the daughter of, they've attached as his daughter. It was Elizabeth who married William Alexander, I want to say.
Okay.
And so we actually went back and found all the original, the will and the deeds that
Yeah.
named Elizabeth McClellan Starkey as the daughter. And we were able to go, okay, it's definitely Elizabeth Starkey, not this other Elizabeth. So that was just a side thing that we cleaned up for this other family.
Yay.
So let's see. What are we highlighting on here, Mindy?
on McClellan's. Sorry,
Yeah.
I was saying hi to Dana, and I just totally lost my notes there.
Who I think
I
now,
know.
Dana, I think I can call Dana a cousin now.
Yeah,
I think Dana and I are going to have to talk.
Yeah, you had the information on
Dana?
John B. McClellan. You had the information on John B., but you also had Nathan listed as an ancestor past Peter Starkey, born about 1760, and his mother was proven to be Jane Roberts. So there are now more than 75 new direct ancestors on that line. 75.
Oh my gosh.
And their families. So just
Jeez
connecting
Louise.
to, and obviously we didn't add those 75. You connected to lines that were already on WikiTree. But like Emma said before, everything we found that was new, we were excited. We were like, woohoo, we got another one.
Oh, wow. Oh, the DeBolts. Oh, the DeBolts are, they're a hot mess.
So on Matilda DeBolt, you already knew that her parents were George DeBolt and Mary Ryder, because I believe that was a new brick wall that you recently broke down. Is that right?
It was the death of Matilda that I found. I had known her parents for quite some time. I just never knew what happened to Matilda.
Okay.
But yeah, moving back past George on that DeBolt line, it's like there's been a lot of published things, and there are 14,000 George DeBolts.
Yeah.
So whoever worked on the DeBolts, kudos to you.
I have to tell you, there was a lot of conflation going on. We had to dig through multiple people of the same name and make sure we had them all separated as different people. And yes, we know exactly what you're talking about. We were able to add the parents for George DeBolt. And by adding those parents, that meant we were able to go further out. Mary Ryder, we were able to confirm her father. Now, the mother's last name is not confirmed there, but we believe that Anna Mary is her mother. So we did get some additional generations there. And then I think we added something to the Corson line too, didn't we, Mindy? Yes, we did. Charity.
Yeah.
We were able to.
And those were the Dutch lines.
Yeah, we were able to confirm her mother and build on Benjamin's family. And that goes to some major generations in Dutch. And because they have such fabulous records, that just goes on and on and on. So you'll have fun looking.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Was there also something added on the Harris line? I think there was, but I can't remember.
For this, I'm not sure. I think the Harris line was one of those. It was extended past Martha's paternal grandfather's side. That was extended pretty far out. There were a lot of lines. These branches here, you gain more than 100 new direct ancestors on. So I know it's crazy. The Abrams were stretched out. The Corsons were. The Harrises were. Those lines were extensively pushed out there. So that was really exciting. And then, yeah. And then
Wow.
you had
Yeah.
one
Oh.
that went, here's another early traveler, and I know somebody you haven't looked at yet. So, but when you get to him, he was another one of the older ancestors, and his last name was Covert, and he was born about 1625. He traveled from Netherlands to the United States and died in New York in 1698. So he was a really, really another one of those early settlers. I mean, you have some just incredible ancestors here.
And also the writer line, I'm now looking at the actual notes you have written there. And that goes back to Germany. And we had one of our Germany experts, Dieter, who was helping dig into the records and help build your German generations out there. So that's you.
Holy
great
cow.
countries there, yeah.
Holy cow. I'm before we went on air, we were talking about something. I said I was speechless, and that doesn't happen very often. I'm speechless. Twice in one night. I don't remember the last time that happened. Wow. Wow.
All right, who's next? This was breaking news because it was just last minute. We had a researcher who was able to go in and actually look at the Quaker, and this again is where the Quakers really helped us out because they have some great records if you know where to find them.
Yeah.
You already had, I believe, let me look at your tree real quick. Samuel's. This is back on the Stevens line. Okay.
Yeah, she had Samuel. You didn't have the wife's last name, and you also didn't have the mother's maiden name.
Yes. You had Elizabeth, but we were able to confirm it was Elizabeth Lewis. And then we also have the next generation for Samuel. We were able to find his parents confirmed through the Quaker records.
I love the Quakers.
Uh-huh.
I mean, they just, oh my gosh. Whoa, something just fell over. Oh, well. Whatever it was, it can stay fallen. It can just stay there.
And here are a few highlights of, you have a long list of people who served in the military in your family. And this is a few. John B. McClellan is one you're already familiar with. He has quite a story.
Yeah.
That's well known and highlighted. Do you know anything about these others, Mindy, in particular?
James Spencer was unique because he actually was not born in the colonies, yet he was fighting against the British. So that was an interesting one. And then some of the other ones, and of course you have even more that are not just American Revolution, but these are some of the first ones that were found. Henry Abraham, he was born in Wales, and he was one of the earliest settlers of Turkey Foot. So a new place you can look into if you aren't really familiar with it, and really great history there.
Yeah.
And then your fifth great grandfather, of course, Anthony Clark, served in it after immigrating from Ireland. So new to the country and just really patriotic and involved in his community. Just a lot of fun to find those things. You also had one that served in, and these ones you may know about, your fourth great grandparents, John McKittrick and Mary Vaughan, had 4 sons that fought in the Civil War. Now, your direct ancestor didn't, that son didn't, but the other 4 did. And so it's interesting to see those families where, it's got to be heart-wrenching for the moms to have all of those boys just get up and go and do this. But, incredibly great that they are so patriotic.
Yeah. I'm looking at that. Can you go back to, so I'm looking at William Harris. I'm wondering if that Colonel Crawford he served under was the same Colonel Crawford that McClellan served with, and that was where McClellan was killed, was on the Crawford expedition, which makes sense because they would have come out of the same part of Pennsylvania.
Yeah, that'll be an interesting follow-up.
Oh,
definitely. Always more stories. No matter what you find, there's always more. It's one of the great things. Okay, now this is the brick wall chart that I work with once we get started. All of the yellow spaces in there, of course, this is a 9-generation chart. all of the yellow ones are open spots. So maybe not necessarily a brick wall to you, but maybe a line you haven't worked on in a while. And
Mhm.
so wherever that particular individual line stopped, we marked it as a possible brick wall ancestor for our people. Where you see the little numbers and the B's, you see kind of on the pop out there on the right, that's where
Mhm.
we've solved brick walls. And, because your brick walls were so seriously fortified and hard to take down, I mean, we collaborate anyways, and one person does this and then somebody else is like, okay, who all needs an obituary? But no, with this, they actually were in small groups with some of these ancestors. And so, you had 3, 4, 5 people looking, and somebody's like, okay, I'm going to look at this. You pull the deeds. You over there, can you do the will for me? And they're all like working on the same couple or the same person, just determined to break those walls down. And so, that this is where you see the joint numbers there, like B3 and 4. That's where whoever actually made the attached parent gave credit to somebody else and tried to share those points. And unfortunately, we can't just like give points to the whole group that works on them. It would be fun if we could, but just really great to see that they're collaborating. And you'll get a copy of all this. You'll get a copy of the original, what we started with, and then here where we actually marked the brick walls so that you can see.
I forgot to point out one of the brick walls we really tried to push hard against was Peter Starkey's wife, Elizabeth, who has like a dozen different spellings to her last name.
Yeah.
So when I created the profile, I chose the first spelling in the first record that I could find. It was Elizabeth Demme, Demme, and we tried spelling her name every single way possible. You
know what's crazy with that line? I think she's actually a Wilson.
Really?
Oh,
I kept going,
wow.
okay, something's not right here because this name is not appearing in the DNA in any type of spelling. It's not showing in the records in any type of spelling. Now that you're saying the word Wilson, I'm going, wait a minute, that sounds familiar. I'm going to go back. Because I'm haunted by this brick wall, and I'm like, I've got to get it figured out.
Because of all of her children, of all of Elizabeth's children on their death certificates and their marriage records, where somebody is naming her with her maiden name, it's either Deming or Danoon or Dunn or all of this. And there are 2 records that give her maiden name as Wilson. And in the 1850 census, there's an Elizabeth Wilson of the right age living with the Deming family. So wow. I think she was actually born a Wilson, but she was known because she was living in the Deming household. That was what she was known by.
Okay, I'm gonna go back to that. I'm not leaving that alone.
Emma's got to go
get
look
back to you on that.
Okay, all right.
Emma's like, are we done yet? Because now I need to go look. Okay, and I want to show you one of the other things that we do each week with the guests. And once again, we love all our toys and our spaces here on WikiTree. This is a free space page. And so, we like to try and take anything that's too extensive. We like to have notes on the profile, but if it's too extensive or like a long will or something like that, we like to move it to a space page. This is one that was fostered after Mary Ryder de Bolt was looked at. And so this is different records and different views, extensive research on the Lawrences of Pennsylvania. And so you can see where the different people served, where they were, who married who when. And it, that was one of the long wills. And Stephen has been awesome at getting those transcribed for us. But you'll see that linked on your space page too, so that you can look at it. We do love our spaces.
Yeah, I look forward to digging through that. I'm glad we've got a long weekend coming up.
Hey, yeah, you had the timing just right on that.
Hey,
didn't you?
Yeah, I sure did. I picked the right week.
Okay, now I'm going to go ahead and backtrack just a little bit and talk about collaboration for anybody that doesn't generally watch the live cast and know what's going on. All of our people that are participants that are in the audience will definitely recognize these. We do, collaboration is key during the challenge. There is always a lot of people, and that's what WikiTree is about. Now, one of the ways we collaborate is using these spreadsheets. We always have at least 25 people working on, your tree during the week, and it can be 40 or more. I mean, it just really depends on who has the availability this week. And of course, these are all volunteers. This is just free
Right.
time, and we want to give this gift to you. But, when you get 30, 40 people working on a set of branches until they really get expanded, it's really easy to trip over somebody and maybe save something and they lose their work. So
Yeah.
please, if you are listening and you don't use these as a participant, get a hold of your captain if you can't access it, and they'll make sure you can, because putting the profile name after your name is one great way to make sure everybody knows you're working on that profile, and and then they won't step on your work. On the right hand side, and Amy, you'll get a link to this too. You'll have all kinds of goodies tonight. Just wait. This is our G2G post, and it has the 8 great grandparents listed out. And this is where mostly we post brick walls. Some people that don't use Discord will put interesting finds, or hey, here's a clue for the next person that comes along, if you want to work on this, so And then our third way we couldn't do without. This is our live chat. Now, we've chosen to move over to Discord. We did that a while back, and it has been incredible. We are a global site, and so we have people from all over the world pretty much 24 hours a day. There's a little bit of a tiny lull, like I think I'm Eastern time zone in the United States. So maybe between like midnight and 3, but by 4, when I get up, there's already people that have been chatting and working, because of course in their time zone, it's not 4 o'clock in the morning. And so this is our live chat. We can ask for, like we talked about with yours, hey, can you look at this will for me? Or, hey, can you look at this document? I need another set of eyes. We have people that are really great at finding obituaries, and so that's something that they do, is provide that, that service, so that other people can focus on other things. Some people that really prefer to look for deeds and land records, and then sometimes we're just cheering each other on. We got to keep each other motivated, and people like to have a little pat on the back, like, wow, you did a really nice job on that profile. I mean, it means a lot.
I was reading Melanie's comment on there about going through the John Johnson deed, and he's named as their son in the deed. Wow, whoever found that, you're awesome. You're all awesome.
It's listed on the profile.
I'm sorry, I'm just reading everything here.
Yeah, they are. I agree. Every week we think that they can't top the last week, or we get a guest that has extensive research and we're like, oh, they aren't going to find much, and then they just blow our mind. They just do an incredible job. Okay, so here we're going to go into the points, and this wasn't a last minute upset on some of this. And while it's not all about the points, it does help keep people motivated, and it also gives us a way to mark our progress. So we can look at it and go, oh, I've edited 125 profiles, even if I didn't take a brick wall down. I was really working hard to make that accurate, those part of those branches accurate, and it gives us kind of a guide on how we're doing. And so we have 2 ways that we do give points, though. We give 10 points for the big ones, the brick walls, every time they take down the first brick wall ancestor on each line. And then we give individual points for any nuclear relatives. So if they're adding the siblings or children, and those points can add up really, really fast, actually. Now, at the end of the week, we have our MVP, which is our most valuable player. They get a badge on their profile. This week, it was Donna Bowman. She's a real regular. She's been just a trooper. Yay, again, Donna. But, there's lots of other ones, too, that have done an amazing job. Now, Chris Ferriello was in second place. And Lucy, who didn't even know she was breaking a brick wall and took down 2 of them, bam, right at the last minute, moved up into second place. So I had to hurry up and enter those scores in so that it was accurate. So she kind of bumped Chris down to third. He's still in third. I know he's okay with that. He's still up there. He worked hard. Donald Lindgren usually isn't up in our top 5, but he does provide a lot of help. So that was fun to see him up there. And then Kathy Nava. Now she's one of our many Kathys, but she's one of our newest participants. So it's kind of fun because we all learn from each other. We have different resources, we have different skill sets. We've all learned a lot throughout this challenge. I know I have. And so then it's fun to have somebody new come in and we can share, what we have learned, and she can learn to develop her own skill set. And yeah, it's been a blast. So does anybody have questions?
Chris is missing an
Miss
O in his
Amy.
last name. He wanted to point that out.
Oh, thank you for pointing out I made a typo in the last minute while chatting in Discord with 5 people and getting my makeup on. Love you too, Chris. Love you too. Oh.
This was
And
really
getting that exciting news about the baby. I was so excited. I was like, honey, I can't focus. I can't look at his little chubby feet.
Chris, you're lucky that she got your first name on the slide.
That's true. That's true.
So WikiTreeers will continue to work on this going forward. I know it's too addictive to work on someone's tree and then just go, oh, I'm going to walk away now. I'm done. The week's over. We'll keep knocking at those walls over time.
Yeah, I gotta say, seriously, everybody who did anything with this research this week, seriously, thank you so much. I've joked before that, I do a lot of research, but it's kind of like the old adage about the cobbler and how the cobbler's children have no shoes. I don't often get a chance to do my own tree. And so some of these are lines that, I really haven't worked on for quite a while. So to see and to have a father for John Johnson. I'm not going to cry.
It's okay.
No, that was because of course my maiden name is Johnson, right? And that John Johnson coming out of Upper Canada, that's always been my sticking point because come on, John Johnson coming out of Upper Canada into Ohio. And I always told my dad, jokingly, but also kind of half serious, that Dad, that line doesn't go any further back. And it's just been a year, almost exactly a year since I lost Dad.
Oh.
And to take this back, so that line goes back, I can't thank you enough. I can't.
It has been our pleasure and our honor, to work on your branches. It really has been.
Yeah. Okay, I'm done.
Okay, move on. Next question.
Yeah, next question.
These are great, Okay, I'm going to go ahead and give a little bit of information about Lorine. Now, Lorine was supposed to be here with us, of course, this evening, and she had an family emergency at the last minute. So bless her heart, she's on her way to go deal with that, and my thoughts are with her and her family, and I hope everything just, works out well in the end. But she was supposed to be here, and it was just very, very last minute. Now, she, of course, is of Olive Tree genealogy. She was born and raised in Ontario, so where those awful black hole records are, she was born there. She's researching her family has been a lifelong passion. She created the Olive Tree genealogy site back in 1995. She was among the first to bring primary migration records from Netherlands to New York to the internet. I mean, we were just talking, about how incredible it is. There's so much on the internet that wasn't before. And, it was these type of pioneers that helped do that. She teaches internet workshops in Ontario about their loyalists, and the 17th century New York is another specialized area of her. She writes a weekly series titled Sharing Memories. She loves military history. And this is really cool. She reunites soldiers' dog tags with the family members. So, those ones that were lost, and and they weren't able to get in touch with the family and didn't know how. That's something she works on to find living family members and return those to. So that's really a wonderful service she's providing. Now, she has ancestors from all over. It's a little bit diverse, so it'll be fun because we'll get to get all our experts out and throw them in the pool with us. She has ancestors from England, France, Germany, Ireland, Netherlands, Ontario, and one line in Switzerland. So while we've worked on most of these locations, that Switzerland line will be new. That'll be a first time for us. That's on the Bollock line. Now the others are pretty spread out. You know, sometimes we see them kind of clustered. Her branches are really her. Migrating ancestors are really spread out among the branches. So you're going to see our experts working all along there. And then, of course, our regular team participants that are great now at being brave and jumping in and saying, what can I do to find records for that person? Her closest brick wall is on her McGinnis line. So Joseph and Frances McGinnis were born in Ireland and traveled to Ontario. They died in 1877 and 1904, respectively. So those brick walls will hopefully open up a floodgate of new ancestors. Those are really close to her. There's another migrating couple from Ireland, which seems to be one of her sticking points. Those records are so difficult to track back if you don't know where to look. In Generation 6 on the Pier line. So, Amy, I hope you're out there listening, or anybody else that'll be working on the Ireland lines. Out there on the Pier line, they also died in Ontario. So half the other line she's taken out pretty far. She has some that are pretty full up in the 9th generation, and you'll see that when you look at her primary tree. Hopefully we'll have that opened up soon, since she wasn't able to take care of that today. But you guys do have the screenshots to look at, and if you need any more assistance, let me know as far as lines to work on. She also does have a lot of the lines you can see on the space page that we have our resources on. This leaves us with a lot, though, of brick walls to take down. You know, once the rest of them are kind of pushed out like that, it leaves a lot of ancestors you can find. So spread out and have fun with it. There's a lot you can work on. The Mary Caspal line is an example of a very full line. That one is pretty full of ancestors way out, some of them past the 9th generation. And so, you know, that may not be where you necessarily want to focus your attention, except for the fact that you can add those ancestors and add those records and make them really accurate and solid proof. We also have a few on the Stead lines. That are different on WikiTree than on her branches. So just like we usually do, people are going to want to get in there, look at the sources, look at them hard, and see which one that it best supports. Is it the way it is on WikiTree, or is her tree the one that has the accurate names? We just want to be really careful and work together to make sure we prove or disprove those lines. And next week, we will do Lorraine's reveal and introduce David Allen Lambert. So, you know, we've just had a great lineup of guests all year. It's been so exciting for us and so much fun. And Angie says, one of us, one of us. And I know people are anxious if they haven't already started on Lorraine's branches. Some of them have. We always have those that do. And we also have those that hang back and go, I'm not done with Amy's yet. Leave me alone. So everybody will have a little bit of something to work on. Do we have any questions out there from the viewers? Yeah, Chris worked really hard trying to do those trying to do those on that DeBolt branch, and he was a little frustrated because, you know, Amy, those are difficult ones to find supporting records for and really get definitive proof.
Yeah, there's so many Georges, and it's, I mean, typical German family, they just keep reusing the names.
Same names.
So trying to get them separated into individuals, there's that one's kind of a messy family.
Yeah. But we do like our challenges. Okay, well, I think if there's nothing else, I'm going to first thank the participants, everybody that worked on Amy's branches this week. Thank you so much for working hard and being able to give her this amazing gift of ancestors and new knowledge. We really appreciate it. I'd like to thank Amy, of course, for being here and being so gracious and letting us talk to her and letting us go off and play in those branches. So it was a lot of fun.
Hey,
For
go
everybody
for it.
watching. Yeah, she says, if you want to come back, that's good with
Yeah.
me. Anytime, anytime. I know we all have somebody bookmarked on those branches that we're going to go back to. Um, thank everybody for watching. And if you want to know more, check us out at wikitree.com. Now, if you go ahead and subscribe to this, you'll receive alerts to our live cast. We usually do a live cast hooked with anything we're doing. So we do have an amazing upcoming source-a-thon in a few weeks. We're really excited about that. That's one of my favorites of our marathon events. We do, the weekend is a little more casual. Sarah does her weekend chat with Mags Golden. That's really great. And then Wednesdays here, of course, for our WikiTree challenge. So go ahead and subscribe and watch out, get those alerts, watch for our upcoming live casts and videos to see what we're up to. And I think that is it then. We will go ahead and say goodbye.